Will you join me in prayer? Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Every once in a while, when Tom and Emily Joy and I get into something really funny, so funny that it brings us to the edge of hysteria with deep belly laughter, someone will poke their head into the office and say, "You folks are having way too much fun in here." It's happened often enough now that I realize it's connected to something deep in our culture. Work is not supposed to be fun. Work and play are perceived as opposites. You're either doing one or the other. If you are laughing and enjoying yourself, you're not working. Or if you are, you're not working very hard. Hard work is something that we value in our culture. It's how we get ahead in life. Part of the American dream promises us that the harder we work, the more we'll have to enjoy life. Work should leave us exhausted and depleted so that at the end of a hard work day, we go home, collapse into the easy chair, turn on the television, and have a few hours of mindless entertainment. Sometimes I find myself evaluating the level of my workload by getting in touch with the level of my mental exhaustion during the drive home. Work and joy don't belong together in our culture. And neither do church and joy. Church is solemn and sober and serious. It's about sacrifice and service. It's about duty and obligation. It's about obeying prohibitions and complying with commandments. Once a year, on Christmas Eve, we sing Joy to the World. And then we put it away and get back to the tedious job of doing God's work. Even the architecture of most of our church buildings is gloomy. When I walk into a Gothic revival or a Romanesque sanctuary, it doesn't inspire gladness and joy. It's dark and depressing. Parents shush their children's laughter as they come into sanctuaries because it feels out of place in that space. It is cold and hard and sober. It's a place where people speak in whispered voices. There is nothing funny about a cross dominating the visual focal point of a sanctuary, especially if there is a body of a bleeding man nailed to it. So deep belly laughter coming from the office of pastors who are supposed to be working hard violates two of our cultural taboos. Neither work nor church are supposed to be fun. But today we heard this remarkable text from the 15th chapter of John's Gospel, in which Jesus reminds us that he came to bring joy. Joy, not judgment, not punishment, not wrath, not salvation for a precious few and damnation for everyone else, but joy. Complete joy. Overflowing joy. Joy that is uncontainable and infectious and transforming. Oddly enough, this passage comes in one of the gloomiest sections of John's Gospel. It is part of his great farewell speech to his disciples. They are all gathered together in the upper room of a house in Jerusalem for their last supper together. That very night, Jesus will be arrested and taken from his followers by the religious and political leaders of his day. He will be tried and condemned to death. It was a very solemn moment. Jesus had already acknowledged that his time with them was almost finished. He had already told them that one of them would betray him, one of them would deny him, all of them would abandon him. If ever there was a moment for shame and blame and judgment and condemnation, that was it. But instead, Jesus talked about joy. He reminded them that he had come not to condemn the world, but to redeem the world. He said, I've come that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. I love that our sanctuary is bright and intimate and warm and light. I feel a smile creep over my face every time I step into this sacred space, because most of my favorite people in the world gather here. I know that I am loved and accepted for who I am here. I know that when I come here, I will be challenged and stretched, not threatened or shamed. I know that I'll be encouraged and uplifted here, because here I'm told that there is nothing fundamentally wrong with me that needs fixing. Rather, there is something sacred in me that deserves greater honor and attention. Our culture tells us that joy and work do not belong together, neither do joy and church, but that is not what we believe here in this church. Here we remember that on one of the gloomiest nights of Jesus' life, he told his followers that no one would take their joy from them. Today, as we continue our series on our walk and our work, we are exploring the holy union of work and joy. 2 years ago, I interviewed Bené Ruiz, who, with her partner, Kelly Simpson, became very active in our koinonia community during the first year that it was organized. Bené and her family have since moved to Roseville, California, but she still keeps in touch with folks here through the Koinonia Facebook page. When I interviewed Bené, she was working for a company called International Automotive Components over in Marshall, Michigan, making foam seating parts for GM trucks. Her production line made the center consoles with the built-in cup holders and the storage bin, you know what I mean, in the truck? When the foam for those parts come out of the molds, they have voids that have to be sprayed with glue and filled with foam so that it becomes a smooth surface. That's what Bené did every day at work for 8 hours straight, usually 6 days a week. Sprayed glue, filled foam. She worked the third shift. When I interviewed Bené, I didn't expect to hear her talk about experiencing joy in her work. I expected to hear dehumanizing stories about the constant pressure to increase productivity, about the tedious, repetitive tasks that numb the brain and the body. I expected to hear laments of drudgery, the despair of being trapped in a job that paid the bills but sucked the joy out of her life. But instead, this is what Bené told me about her work.
It's fun. I work with some crazy people. We have fun. On the weekends, we bring the radio, and everybody sings and dances. We do potlucks on our line and eat while we're working and stuff. Here lately, we've all been on a sunflower seed kick, so everybody's bringing different kinds of sunflower seeds. And there's 10 of us that work our line, and we've become a little family. We can hang out after work. Everybody takes care of each other. If someone's not there, one of us is calling, hey, you okay? What's going on? And we're like our own little community within this big company. And from what I hear, no other shift is like that. Our group, fortunately, has the best quantity and the best quality. But we produce, in an 8-hour day, anywhere between 18 and 2,000 parts.
Well, it's interesting that the correlation between the working environment that's sort of created from the interpersonal dynamics and the correlation with productivity. That the better the relationships, the better the outcome.
And we have fun. I mean, we can joke around and, they tease me, Friday's gay day for Benny. I'm like, yay!
So you're out to this group of workers?
Yes, they know.
Wow.
Actually, the girls, when I first started in March, Kelly was 7 months pregnant. It's about 7.5 months pregnant. And I talked to them about it. It was no big deal. They knew Kelly was having a baby. And they actually had a baby shower for her at the Copper Kettle in Athens.
Your coworkers online? Wow.
Hadn't met her yet.
Wow.
And got together, the girls, and all got together and told me, go home and get Kelly this day. We're going to do a baby shower for her. Don't tell her. We were going to do it surprise for both of you, but there's no way to get both of you there. So we went one Friday after work, and we all had breakfast, and they all bought Everett a bunch of stuff, and Kelly.
So did that surprise you?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because that's not the
That's not the
stereotype
norm.
I have of the
Yeah.
factory worker.
No,
Yeah.
everybody knows, nobody cares, and it's fun. And we joke around, and we're eating the sunflower seeds, and since we clean, we spit them on the floor. There's stuff flying. By the end of the night, there's 2 trash cans full of foam on the floor and sunflower seeds, and we just clean it up and.
It's like
Then
the baseball dugout
yeah.
at the end of the day.
Exactly. Before it was, I was bringing salsa and someone else was bringing chips, and we do taco dip, and our forklift driver brings in sloppy joes sometimes, and we probably eat more foam then. But it's fun. We have a good time. And it's just, it's the neatest place. Not so much the place, the 10 people I work with. It's just incredible.
That was not what I was expecting. It sounds kind of like church. On an assembly line, in a plant that makes foam parts for seats in GM trucks. I'm sure Benet had folks sticking their heads into her work area saying, "You people are having way too much fun in here." In our culture, we think of work and play as opposites. Having fun is counterproductive, and so we impose all sorts of restrictive rules to prevent people from enjoying themselves at work. No eating, no music, no personal calls, no socializing except during specified break times. Because work isn't supposed to be fun, we restrict people's activities to make sure they're staying focused on the activity that we are paying them to do. But the truth is, people who enjoy being together get more work done. The more attentive employers are to developing supportive relationships among coworkers, the more productive they become. Employees who are having fun actually improve the business's bottom line. Unlike our culture, our faith tells us that work is not supposed to be drudgery. Work is the contribution that we have to make for the good of the world. It's what brings a sense of meaning and purpose to our lives, both through the services and the products that we produce and manufacture, but also through the caring relationships that we form with our co-workers and colleagues. Benet's story is inspiring testimony about the power of community to transform even repetitive, seemingly mundane tasks into enjoyable, productive enterprise. I hope and pray that someday someone pokes their head into your workspace and says, "You are having way too much fun in here. I've come that my joy may be in you," said Jesus, "and that your joy may be complete." Amen.